Hi, everyone. Welcome to this short add-on webinar. We recently did a webinar with Ingo Windsor, who is the CEO of Local Market Monitor, and we got a lot of feedback from people that attended that they wanted to actually see the product itself. So we spent the webinar mostly talking about the process that creates this incredible data that Ingo and his team provide. And so people said, yeah, but you didn't actually show us what product they have. We wanted to see it. So we asked Carolyn Beggs, who is the VP of Operations at Local Market Monitor, to give us a short demo of Local Markets Monitor's product and their database. So welcome, Carolyn. We're happy to
Thank
have
you, Neil.
you on the webinar.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. What I'm going to do is just give you a quick demo of what it is to log into Local Market Monitor. So as you see here, I'm just going to log in with the username and password.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is what we consider our subscriber homepage. And so from here, you can navigate to all of the resources that are available through localmarketmonitor.com. The navigation is quite simple, so it doesn't take a lot of time to do training, which is a feature. You basically get your username and password and get started right away. The first item that you see here in the list is what we call our market report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a market report. And this brings you to a page where it's alphabetized. We have over 300 markets that we cover, and you can sort this page by any of the headers that you see here. So if it's easier, if you want to look at ones in a certain state, for example. And what I'm going to do is just open a single market report. Again, there's over 300 of them available. And the reports print to about 6 pages in length. You can print it to PDF, which is a nice feature, so if you need to look at it at a later date. They are also updated every month. They're usually about the first business day of the month. This one was last done on April the 3rd. They all include a market summary, which is written analysis specific to this market. This is updated on a quarterly basis, and it gives you a general overview of what's going on in the market. Additionally, a nice feature of the reports is that they include an investment score, which gives you a numerical rating on a scale of -10 to +10 as to what type of market this is. In this particular case, this is actually a dangerous market. It's listed as a -0.1, which places it just barely in that category. But then you can also see here there's the actual rating, which is these 4 categories, and then the score. As you'll notice as you scroll through a market report, they all follow the same format, so it's very easy to compare markets side by side. Additionally, all of the chart data is downloadable to Excel. So if you're looking at any of the numbers on a chart and you can't quite figure out what they are, it's very easy to look at the specifics. That is also the case when you get down here to, for example, a chart that goes back to 1990. If you were to download the quarterly data to Excel, you actually have access to almost 30 years worth of information by quarter right there. Additionally, as I'm scrolling through a market report, you'll notice that you can get county level information. This particular report is just for Orange County. If it was covering multiple counties, you'd see as many counties listed there as the report covers. All of the comments to the right correspond to the graphs on the left. Ingo, during his webinar, discussed some of those charts that you see here, such as job growth. So it gives you just a general overview as to why job growth, for example, is important. Which was covered in more depth in the webinar.
Yep.
Additionally, you can see the housing units. These are owner and renter occupied housing units. Again, these are included in all 300 plus markets that we cover. We also do a cap rate for the market, population growth, rent and home price change, and those are shown on the same graph here side by side. The rent per month in dollars, and also these are forecasts. So as you notice as you go through the market report, all the numbers to the right here are the forecasted values. They have 1, 2, and 3 year forecasts.
That's very valuable, incredibly valuable. And I want to point out to all of my listeners that are multifamily guys that, one of the things that you're saying is, well, we don't really focus on price increases. Yes, but look at this data. This piece of data is rent per month. This is what we live and die by. And for this particular market, even though it's a dangerous market, it's showing rents moving upward. So those are the sort of predictions that you want to look at. Once again, you want to look at areas that have much higher investment scores in this particular market. So scores in the 8s and 9s. Some of the markets that we've talked about in the past, like Boise, have pretty high investment scores. And then you want to come down here if you're looking to buy multifamily, and you want to look at the rent per month to see what are those trends, because sometimes housing price trends and rent trends are not the same. But ideally, you want a market that is going to see increase in housing prices and increase in rents at the same time. So this is for all the multifamily guys out there. Please go ahead, Carolyn.
Great. No, thank you. And like I said, so the market reports, as you scroll through, you also look at things like vacancy rates. There's a wealth of information in the market report itself. I kind of like to say that if you're looking at a market at a high level and you're looking at the investment score and rating, and you want to know, well, why is this market considered dangerous, or why is it, a negative rating? As you look at all of these different data points that we cover within a market report, it tells the complete picture as to what is going on in the market. So it's not just one thing that is causing a market to be up or down, as you'll notice some unemployment there at the bottom. And so if you look at all of the different data points in conjunction with each other, it gives you a pretty complete picture on the local market. I'm going to get out of the market report now. And like I said, there are over 300 of these available from right there at the market report. The next thing that I'm going to touch on is this Build a List feature. As Neil mentioned, as you're looking at markets and you want to say, well, maybe you want to stick to the ones that are in the 8 to 9 for investment score and rating, for example. We have a feature that you can look at all markets or just selected markets within a certain area. If you wanted, for example, just to pick certain markets, all of the ones for a particular state are in the drop down. I'm going to do all across the country just to give you an example. And then you can also do any data columns that you're looking at. In this case, I'm going to pull all of them, but if you were just looking at, like, for example, local investment score and rating, you could select that. And then you build a list. So it's just as simple as selecting your markets, selecting the data points that you'd like to see, and it builds a table. And this is the current information on all of the local markets that you selected. And this can also be downloaded to Excel.
That is spectacular. So I can just export this to Excel. Wow, that's just astonishingly good news. I mean, I'm already thinking I'm going to sort this by population growth. I want to see what that looks like. I want to sort this by 12-month forecast. I want to sort this by past forecast. I want to sort it by unemployment rate. And then I want to look at all of those factors and start highlighting them to see which ones have all of them that are, high speed. I know markets like Orlando have very, very low unemployment rate, very high job growth, very high population growth. So there's a few markets in the US like that, but being able to see all of this data together and being able to sort it 5 or 6 different ways, the amount of time that saves is just insanity. Honestly, I didn't even know this was in here, Carolyn.
Yes, no, this is a great feature. When you're within the table itself, as you were talking, I just sorted the entire table by population growth. So it looks like Odessa, Texas, unfortunately, has the worst population growth of this current period. That you can go, of course, all the way down. Any of those headers there that you see, you can sort by within the table. And then, as I mentioned, you can download it to Excel. So if you want to do multiple sorts side by side, you can do that as well. It is all of the current information that we have on all 300 plus markets. And the nice part is too, you can also save your market list. So if you have a subscription account and you build a table, so for example, you're only interested in markets on the West Coast, or you're only interested in markets on the East Coast, and you built your table and you selected the markets and you select the data points that you want to cover, you build it once and you save it in your account, and you don't have to come back and build it every time. This is a great place to start also. Like I said, we do monthly updates to the data. So at the beginning of every month, most of our subscribers will go in. They get a reminder on a monthly basis that says the data's been updated. They go in, pull their table, and they can really see the changes from one period to the next by doing so very quickly.
So the data changes every month, not every quarter?
Some of the pieces of information change monthly, some are quarterly. As you'll notice, for example, unemployment is something that is available monthly. Job growth is monthly. We do refreshes to the forecast on a monthly basis, and then we do a full, I don't want to call it overhaul, but essentially a whole new forecast on a quarterly basis. So it just depends on what is available when, but we keep it as fresh as possible. So if something's come out, within no later than a month later, it will be in this database.
Boy, I feel like boys with toys when I look at these market reports. For
Yeah,
me,
so
this is
there's
this
a
is
lot of
huge.
information here.
Yeah, yeah. And you can click through to the market by just, clicking
Mhm.
the link. Oh, okay, got it. Perfect.
Yep, exactly. So if you want to pull the full market report, again, if you want to say, like if you're going over to where the ratings column is, the investment scoring rating, and you sort it by the investment scoring rating, and you want to get more detail on, say, there's a market that has an 8 or a 9 rating, and you want to know why. Again, that market report is going to give you a full picture. It's generally, a combination of not just one factor. And I think that's what Ingo was touching on during the webinar, is that it's not just one thing that's going to make an investment in a certain market work. It's going to be a combination of factors, and then also the history of that market. So that investment score and rating really takes that into account. And again, if you select a market and then go back and look at the full report, you'll see why a market is rated a certain way.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, but this gives me that dashboard look of, oh, why is this market does have such a high score? Well, just look to the left and you see
Yep,
so many different factors that are, benefiting that market, and that's probably why it's rated very high.
exactly, exactly. So
Perfect.
one other feature I wanted to make sure that you have access to is this portfolio forecast. So as you manage your real estate assets, this portfolio forecast, it's a tool that you can use. As you can see, you can put up to 10,000 different assets in a portfolio file. And you can actually take the file, load it into this program right here. It's a very, very simple tool to use. You just select which columns contain the different data points that you see here. And then there's 3 scenarios that you can actually run. The first being what we call most likely. That scenario ties back to the market reports. So if we forecasted 6% growth in a certain market, you're going to see that forecast associated back to the file. And it's done on a zip code level. So this is at zip code level forecasting. And then there's also 2 other scenarios, as I mentioned. There's a pessimistic and a stress test. So if you want to run your portfolio of assets and see how they are looking on a most likely scenario, and then take the same file and run it on a pessimistic scenario, and then take it again and run it on a stress test scenario, you can do all 3 right here from this screen.
Got it. Wow. I like the fact that each of those levels is actually explained in a box below, which explains what
Mm-hmm.
that means. So that's terrific. So I want to run my Madera, California portfolio. I have 10 single family homes there on this, and I'm curious to see how it's going to come out. So that's homework for me.
Yeah, and like I said, this is all done at a zip code level. So the forecast set is associated, whatever zip code the property is located in, is going to get you down to the zip code level on the portfolio forecasting. Which also brings me to, there is a feature here if you want to get a zip code level forecast. We have over 20,000 zip codes in the database. So if you have very specific questions as far as, the market report's going to give you at more of an MSA level, the zip code forecast is going to get it even more local. So there's over 20,000 zip code forecasts in here as well.
Got it.
And then just the last feature I want to make you aware of is that there's also what we call a zip code demographics report. And I'm just going to put in a zip code right here. You can put in up to 10 at a time, and you can also have this report emailed to you as a PDF. And what this does is it puts together a demographics report on whatever zip code. Again, you can put in 10 at a time. So if there's 10 zip codes that you're comparing side by side, they can be anywhere in the country. There's over 20,000 that we have available. You can see what the populations are, what the age breakdown, the backgrounds, household incomes, home values in the market, number of households, total number of jobs in the market, and then also this trending information is particularly important. The home value increases, the number of renters increasing.
Got it. Wow. This is astonishingly beneficial for anyone that's looking to buy single family or multifamily. Very, very useful, Carolyn. You have a terrific product, by the way. Terrific.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, everything within Local Market Monitor, once you log in with a username and password, it's very easy to find. It's very user friendly, and so the key is that it's not going to take you a lot of time to dig out this information. It's all right there, and hopefully it'll be helpful to your investing.
I think it absolutely will be. In fact, what will also be useful is if we can get an extension of that discount that you gave to our folks, because now they're going to watch this video. Can we how long can we have that price? I know your price is $2,000 and our people are getting it for, is what was it, $8.99 or $7.99
That's
something?
correct. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's actually the lowest that that's the lowest offer that we have. So this was kind of a special deal for the folks that have been on the webinar. And yes, we can extend that to make sure that everyone has a chance to take advantage of that.
perfect. That's perfect. And I also want to provide everybody that's watched this webinar with a gift. So I'm going to switch over control to me so you can see my screen. Hang on.
Okay.
And make presenter, show my screen. And there we go. Do you see a PowerPoint, Carolyn, with a URL?
Not yet, no.
Okay, let's see if you see it now, because I don't know which of my two screens is being shared. Screen and monitor one. Okay, so it's this side. And you should be able to see, let me see, it says showing screen. It should be showing my screen to you. So what I have on screen is a URL. So if you can see this URL, and please note that this URL is case sensitive. All these words here are case sensitive. Here is what is being provided to you when you go to this URL. Local Market Monitor will give you the best and worst investment risk ratings, and so you have the lowest risk markets in the U.S. and the most dangerous. So Tacoma, Washington, Las Vegas, Lakeland are the lowest risk markets. It also has markets like Gary, Indiana, and Peoria, Illinois, that are considered highly dangerous. The second report is a growth and risk summary. So you've got markets that are all the way from fast growth down to slow growth or no growth. And then you've got markets all the way from low risk to high risk, and they're clubbing them together. So obviously the group that you will like the most is fast growth / low risk, right? Because there's a lot of great markets in the US that are low risk markets, but unfortunately they're slow growth markets. And so on page 1 of this particular report, you've got fast growth and low risk markets throughout the US. And then the third report that is on this URL is one that has different levels of risk. So it ranks markets by risk with dangerous, speculative, medium risk, and low risk. As you can imagine, there's a lot less low risk markets in the US than there are medium risk or speculative markets right now. We're at the end of this, or towards the end of this real estate cycle. So very, very useful information for you guys to have. So check out this link and send feedback to us about whether you like these reports or not. And I want to thank Carolyn. Carolyn, thank you so much. This has been incredibly useful to our group, and I'm hopeful that Ingo will continue to keep doing webinars for us. And
yes, thank you.
We'll do this again. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.